Hello everyone and welcome back to Closets Gaming, and today we are going to talk about our favorite, not really, publisher, EA. As for some reason, EA has decided that publishing games the olden way doesn't work anymore, apparently. At least this is what they seem to think based on the information coming from their Q4 financial year results. And it's just weird. So let's take a look at an article talking about this. It's coming from PC Gamer and was made by Andy Chalk. So apparently the Anthem experience has led EA to reconsider how it launches large-scale online games. So at least that's one thing. It seems to only be concerning games that are online and are large-scale. Hopefully the majority of games, even though I wouldn't buy anything from EA because they're just awful. Like literally, I just don't want to buy games from them because they've been such an awful company that I truly don't understand how people still want to buy games for them. But at least the games that are either offline games or smaller stuff is still going to be released the same way. But if we look further into the article, it says the reality is it's not just an EA challenge, it's an industry-wide challenge, CEO Andrew Wilson said during the call, referencing the difficulties of creating and operating large-scale open-world games like Anthem. You're moving from what's initially a BioWare game, which would have been somewhere between 40 and 80 hours of offline play, to 40 and 80 hours of offline plays plus 100 or 200, 300 hours of Elder game that happens with millions of other players at scale online. So yes, obviously, there are differences between releasing a purely offline game where you essentially create a game and then you push it out, and an online game where you also have to keep in mind stuff like servers. Yeah, servers are a thing, EA, and you have to run them and you have to have them ready to not be overwhelmed, for example. Yeah, that's a thing, and it's not really that hard of a thing to understand, I would say. He continued saying that this obviously has an impact on development and quality assurance processes, but EA is also examining how it presents new games to potential audiences with an eye toward managing expectations. Wilson said that in Asia, major online games generally go through a soft launch and multiple community tests before everything goes live, which enables EA to get a better idea of how they'll behave at scale. Wow, who would have guessed that making tests of your infrastructure and your game is a good thing? Like, wow, EA, you're really coming to some baffling conclusions. I just would never have expected you to actually to realize this stuff. Is it really that hard to understand that if you have an online game that you need to make some tests, and the tests will probably be a bit smaller in scale compared to the real release? I don't think that's that hard to understand. In the West, however, major publishers have stuck with older conventions, a drip feed approach to marketing to build up the appetite and excitement for the game that leads straight into release. And yes, this is actually a problem. And I actually agree with EA. Surprise. But yeah, hype is an actual problem with games. The fact that so many games get overhyped and people's expectations become just a bit too high is often a problem. But with, for example, Anthem, it wasn't the hype that killed the game. It was the fact that it was, at best, a mediocre game with so much content actually missing and actual advertisement that was misleading. Just misleading. There was stuff that looked like it's going to be into the game, in the advertisement, in the marketing materials, but it never ever actually appeared in the game. You cannot blame this on hype, EA. Be honest with yourselves. The problem isn't that the community expected too much of us. No, the problem is that you screwed up. That's the problem. That's the real issue. As games have gotten bigger, that system isn't working as well as it has done in years gone by. So what should you expect from us is that it's not just about changing the development processes of the game. It's not just about changing the quality assurance process in the game, although both of these things are being changed dramatically inside our organization right now. It also comes down to changing how we launch games. And while I'm actually glad to hear that especially the quality assurance processes in EA are changing, because they have been in desperate need of an upgrade for like years at this point, it's not about how you launch the game. It's actually about the quality assurance. You need to make sure the game actually has everything you promised the players. You need to make sure there aren't any game-breaking bugs. You make sure that your servers are actually capable of having players playing the game. Those aren't really that surprising things. I'm not even like a game developer, but when I think of, I want to launch a large-scale game, what are the things I need to check? I need to check whether the game is fun, whether it works, and whether people can actually play it. 2 out of the 3 things, something that was a pretty big issue with the release of Anthem. And as far as I understand the game itself, there were points of it that were actually fun. And apart from the immense amount of grind, it actually could have been a good game. If Anthem was released in just like 2010, it would have probably been a great game because there would have been much less grind, because you wouldn't have trying to focus on getting so many people to buy loot boxes and other microtransaction stuff. So you would have just allowed them to actually gain stuff in the game. That's the real problem. The fact that you're greedy bastards. The fact that you're trying to get people to spend more money all the freaking time. And on one hand, I'm not blaming you for that. You are a company and your primary goal is to make money. The problem is how you are making this money. There comes a point when you're no longer being ethical about it and you actually need to think whether you should change something about the processes. And not in a way which blames the community. The community is not at fault for your screw-ups, EA. You yourselves are here at fault. But actually, let's continue on reading the article. You should expect that we'll start to test things like soft launches. The same things that you see in the mobile space right now. So yeah, they're actually taking a look at the most despised market that exists, the mobile market. And yes, there are plenty of great mobile games. I'm not saying there aren't. But in general, there isn't a worse market for gaming right now for the consumers than the mobile market. There are so many games that offer lackluster gameplay at best, but just try to force to get as much money out of you as they possibly can because they don't give a fuck. And I'm sure this video will be flagged or something because of my foul language, but I'm so over EA at this point. I actually want them to go broke, just to go bankrupt and disappear, stop making the developer side of things so toxic. Because EA is the big granddaddy of toxic developers. And you might be saying, but what about Epic and other studios that are doing bad things? Valve is doing bad things, and others, and Ubisoft, and everyone. That's not true. There are so many great developer studios. Usually the smaller ones that actually still have the passion, that drive to actually create stuff people will love and remember for years to come. But EA is just not one of them anymore. They used to be like that. They made so many great games in the past, some of my favorites. But they have just become corporate. I know that might sound like a generalization. Not everything corporate is evil. I'm not saying that. But it just describes the evil part of corporate so well. And EA is a prime example of this. Hopefully they will be able to actually do something that is good. I still have to keep that glimmer of hope inside of me, because if I wouldn't, I would just be here yelling and screaming and saying even more profanities than I already have. Hopefully something changes in EA. Hopefully there comes personnel that actually cares about the gaming industry and not just about making profit. Though, at this point, I am doubtful of it. Either way, that's going to be it for today, guys. If you liked the video, there's that like button. There's a subscribe button if you want to hear more from me. And see you guys later with more gaming content.